Oh, here we are, waiting, just waiting. I spend my life waiting. I spend my life waiting, sitting and waiting for the phone to ring. I was waiting for one of my inmates to get on the phone and call me, although there's a Category 4 cyclone currently happening, I think, in Florida, where she is situated. So this phone call may not happen, but we will see what happens. I'm staring at my phone. We're about 5 minutes late at the moment, but that's okay. 5 minutes late is normal. But a Category 4 hurricane currently hitting Florida. I think is it currently hitting Florida? I don't know if anyone is from Florida. Do you know what the hurricane situation is like in Florida right now? Anyone in America right now know what the current hurricane situation is like? If I can get a weather update, I could Google it, I suppose. That would be probably the easiest thing to do, as opposed to relying on other people telling me what the current situation is. Let's have a look at the current hurricane situation.
Let's have a look at the current hurricane situation in Florida, shall we? Florida hurricane. Because I'm waiting on an interview from a lady who, hello, Danger Mellow. You don't know what the current hurricane situation is like, do you? What's the current hurricane situation like? Florida hurricane. Oh, here we go, live. Hurricane making landfall in Florida as dangerous Category 4 storm. Oh dear. So this phone call might not happen, you see, because if a hurricane is currently hitting Florida, I should probably turn this off, shouldn't I?
If a hurricane, if a current hurricane is currently hitting Florida, then me waiting on a phone call from one of my inmates at the correction facility is probably not going to happen, I would suggest, because it's in Florida. Let's have a look here. More than 7% of Florida residents without power. More than 7%. Okay, that's not a good sign. I will give you lots of likes. Oh, thank you, Danger Mellow. Smash that like button. Like. Just keep hitting that like button. Like. Okay, so there's currently a hurricane happening in Florida at the moment. Florida hurricane, fantastic. Which means that the chances of me getting a phone call from from the inmate this morning I'm supposed to be talking to, who currently is residing in a Florida institution, may not happen, which is annoying. But anyway, that's it. Look at you go with the likes. Oh, Danger Mellow. Just smashing that like button like it's your job.
You are a superstar.
Thank you very much indeed for all the smashing that like button. Appreciated. This is the final boarding call for Danger Mellow, smashing that like button. Oh no, wait, phone's ringing. Pick this up. Here we go.
Okay.
We're on.
An inmate at a Florida Department of Corrections institution. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, your current balance is $12.22. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello.
Hi, Jack.
I wasn't sure if I was going to hear from you this morning because of the hurricane.
Oh yeah, I know. But I had to make sure I called anyway. But it's not too bad here yet.
Oh, I appreciate you calling. Oh, yeah, because I was quickly just having a look online to see what was happening, and it said that it's Category 4 that's currently hitting Florida as we speak.
Oh yes, it is. They've been preparing for it all day.
So what happens at the prison when there's a hurricane?
Well, they have been using this as an evacuation site with like the work releases. They have some of the girls like housed in different dorms, but for the most part, it's normal operations until it gets really bad.
Right, and what happens when it gets really bad?
Well, they lock it down. They don't allow us to move. They bring the trays to us, and we just sit in the dorm all day.
Yeah, right, and you can't do anything until the storm's gone.
Right.
Has it ever been that bad that it's damaged the prison itself?
No, Not normally, not here.
Oh, okay. Because I'm just picturing like
Yeah,
I've
everything's fine.
never experienced a hurricane before, so I'm just picturing the movie Twister and everything being lifted off the ground.
Ever?
No, I've never experienced a hurricane in my life ever.
There's no hurricanes in Australia.
No, we don't get hurricanes. We just get snakes and spiders and everything that wants to kill you, not hurricanes.
I'll take my chances in a hurricane.
Yeah. Yes, I would prefer a hurricane over some of the spiders we get. I can tell you that much. I'm not a manly man when it comes to spiders and snakes. I can promise you that.
You would think because you have the whole Crocodile Dundee accent going.
Yeah. No, I'm wrestling crocodiles and kangaroos and stuff. Yeah, that's right. Well, let's just pretend I do. Okay, let's make me feel better about myself, and let's pretend that I'm doing that.
Okay, all right.
There you go.
I will.
All right. So now to the more serious topic of where we got up to last time we spoke. Obviously, last time we chatted, we got up to the part where you sort of threw me a curveball and mentioned an AK-47, and you were just about to go into the property. Now, also, I want to cover the documentary that was made about you as well. So we might get to all of this in one call. But I did watch it, and I must admit, I thought the way they portrayed yourself was pretty horrendous.
I know. I definitely know.
They made it out to be some sort of Bonnie and Clyde situation.
Right, and that is why I got so upset with my defense attorney, because he helped portray it that way.
Your defense? I didn't see him in the. Maybe I didn't get through the whole thing because I didn't spot your defense attorney in it. Was he in the thing? Was he?
Yes, he was. He was a white guy with white hair. I believe his hair was white.
Oh, okay. Yes, no, I do know who you mean.
Yeah.
What a great defense attorney.
Defense attorney, that
Fantastic.
great guy. Right.
Dearie me. So okay, so we'll talk about that. But obviously, yeah, as I said, they portrayed it like it was, as I said, some sort of Bonnie and Clyde situation where you were ride or die, sort of, together till the end situation.
Right.
So all right, so
okay. So where would you like me to start?
Let's get back to the actual incident itself that got you into the situation where you're in, because like when we spoke, you mentioned that you guys drove out to this location, the car pulled over, he was having a conversation with whoever came out, and then things escalated, and he essentially went to the back of the car, pulled out an AK-47, and then you go inside this the building. I think that's where we got to.
Right. But like how I told you, there are some parts missing.
Yep.
But I will say that there wasn't just two people there, and that was like highly overlooked. So when I went inside, one of his friends were there, but I know that I can't delve into that like deeply.
Right.
So a lot of people question why didn't I turn around or something like that. But when I went inside the house, the guy's wife was there with his niece and two young children, and him and my co-defendant, like, they were talking. My co-defendant asked me to go in the back of the house and find where he had his drugs or something like that, because he refused to give him his money back. Yeah. I went to the back of the room. When I got to the front of the room, when I got to the back of the room, I was maybe in there for like 2 minutes, and my co-defendant, he was yelling for me. When I made it back to the living room, my co-defendant and the guy, Reginald, they had got into a fight, and they were tussling over the AK-47.
Yeah, right.
By that time, his friend had slipped inside of the house, and he threw me his .45 because they wanted me to shoot the guy's wife.
Right.
So while they were distracted, the lady and the children, they were getting ready to run out of the sliding glass door. I asked her to run, take the kids with her, but when she was out of, like, range, I shot at the glass on the other side of where she left.
Right.
I went back to the kitchen to where they were, and I was panicking. But they asked me, did I shoot her? And I said yes.
Okay, so you lied to them and said
I
that
ran to
you
the
shot
car.
them.
Yes, I did.
Yep.
Because I was pregnant at the time, and like I told you, how I ended up in the situation anyway, I did not want to be there. So I was definitely not going to try to hurt nobody in the process.
Yeah.
So when I got in the car, obviously my co-defendant had shot the guy, victim, and everybody, we got in the car. I was the driver. My co-defendant happened to see the lady and the children running. He jumped out of the car, and he attempted to shoot the lady in front of her children.
Wow. So she made it out of the place. She made it out of the property, and so
Yes.
yeah. So she'd made it out, and she was trying to obviously get away. And then on the way out, he's seen her, and then taken a shot at her.
Yes.
So and what did she end up getting shot?
Yes, she did. He actually shot her at point blank range in front of the kids.
Wow. And so what happens after that?
We leave, and we go to a person's house that my co-defendant, he knew from, she used to buy drugs from him, her and her husband, and we parked the car at her house. And we leave the truck there because it was a truck.
Mm.
And the other guy, he's following us in another car, and we switch cars.
So have you said anything to him at this stage? Like what's the conversation that's happening in the car after this has happened?
Well, I was panicking, and it was such a blur to me because I remember just being so upset and crying. And at that time, they took over, and like they were driving, and we went back to our house. But I don't know. It was terrible.
Yeah, I mean it's quite insane, really. So did he say?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to even put in words.
Yeah, did he say anything in the car, or did he? Was he sort of giving you any instructions, or?
No, him and his friend, they were basically talking to each other.
Yeah. And you were driving,
So,
were you?
I mean, well, I drove to the other house, but when we got to the house where we left the truck, they were driving.
Right. And this was all over, obviously, a drug deal gone bad, basically.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. And he took this guy's life, and he didn't even get his money back or even try to sort out the situation. Like, these people died senselessly.
How much was the money that he was trying to get back? How much was it?
$1,000.
So two people lost their lives, and those kids lost their parents essentially over $1,000.
Yes, basically.
Wow.
Essentially, yes, and left two children without their parents.
Crazy. So.
Yes.
So. I mean, yeah, it's just this. I mean, your story blows my mind. Really, it does. It's just like, so what did they say? What are they saying happened? Because obviously, you're now in prison for over 40 years. What are they saying that your involvement was?
Well, my charges, like I told you, are the lesser degree of his charges. But I'm charged with the murder, I guess, as like a principal because I didn't kill anybody, but I was in a participation of a felony, and I still got charged the same way that he did, just as a lesser degree.
Okay, so essentially because you were there when these murders took place, you essentially got charged the same, almost the same.
Right, and because the evidence the things that would have worked to let the prosecution and just people know in general about my participation, my attorney didn't present it.
Right. This seems to be a sort of a reoccurring theme with you guys that I'm talking to, is your lawyers essentially not really doing their job.
Right. They not in Florida anyway.
No. Did you have a public defender as well, or was yours a hired lawyer?
He was my co-defendant had the public defender, and I was represented by a private conflict counsel.
Jim.
So he's still paid by the state. So yes.
Right. So
he's a public defender.
Okay.
Just a private attorney.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So what happens after? So you've left the scene. You've switched cars. Where do you go then?
Right. We go back home, and everything kind of like goes by in a blur. Like I said, couple days go past. The situation is played on the news, and my co-defendant and his friend, they were like rehearsing the story, rehearsing what to say. They were like bringing up my involvement and saying that because I've never been in trouble before, if anything ever happened and I was ever questioned, that I would look like the lesser person, or I wouldn't get penalized as harshly as they would. So I had to put myself as the sole role involvement.
So they're essentially saying to you, you need to take the rap for this because you don't have priors.
Right, and just because of the other guy that I told you about, he was more of a threat to my family because he knew a lot where they lived. Hold on, I'm sorry. This is getting kind of loud in here.
That's all right.
Okay, all right, I'm back.
The ladies are restless.
Women are hostile because of the storm.
So it's not just the hurricane you got to worry about; it's the ladies inside that are getting a bit hurricane-ish.
Oh my goodness. No. Okay.
Okay.
So, where were we?
So they were basically working out their story, telling you that you needed to take more of a responsibility for it because you hadn't had prior charges.
Right, and my co-defendant, like I told you, he was a drug dealer, but he used to service a guy that was a ex-private attorney, not a private attorney, but a private detective. And they pulled up a listing, and they surprised me that they could show me that this guy had researched like everybody that was in my family, whether it was my mom, my grandma, my grandmother. Okay, so I have to back up a little bit. At the time, my son was 2 years old. And when all of this started happening, when my co-defendant got abusive, and essentially after this situation, after my crime, I took my son to my grandmother's. And that was something that the other guy used to use against me, that he knew where my grandmother lived. He knew where my son was at the time because I tried to hide him and basically isolate him from the situation.
Yeah. Because they were essentially,
I no longer wanted him around his man.
Yeah, so they were essentially sort of threatening, the life of your child and your family.
Right. Right.
So, okay, so how long does it take until the police are knocking on the door?
I can't even hear you. These people are. Hold on. Okay, all right. I'm back again.
Okay. Jessica just laying some smack down.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness.
It's all right. It's
low women going wild.
It's totally fine. It's absolutely no problem at all. So how long until the police were at the door, knocking on the door?
Well, that didn't happen until maybe about 30 days later.
Right.
Um,
So it's been quite a while.
the
So at
the
some
police.
at some stage, did they think they might get away with this? The guys that did it.
Yeah, absolutely. But what essentially happened was my co-defendant was going to make another drug sale, and we were in Green Coast Spring because by this time, no matter what I did, I was never alone. They would never leave me by myself. If my co-defendant left me, one of his friends would come and make sure that I didn't leave the house. So I was riding with him to Green Coast Springs, and he got arrested because he was driving without a or driving on a suspended license. And they had probable cause to pull us over because I think like one of the lights were out, and when they ran his name, that they seen that he had a driving without a license, and he had a prior domestic violence charge on his other kid's mom. And they pulled him over and they took him to that county jail in Green Coast Springs. So he essentially got arrested that night.
So so if he wasn't out driving, then he wouldn't have been caught essentially.
Right. Basically. And so he goes to jail.
Yep.
And when he goes to jail, I'm driving back. I go home, and one of his friends were already at the house. They were waiting to meet me. He called me, and he told me that he would be housed there for the next couple of days while he got arraigned or whatever, but he wanted me to come up with his bail money.
And how much was that?
I believe that maybe it was like $500, $1,000, something like that.
Right.
Okay, so the very next day, I go to one of his friend's house that he tells me the address. He tells me to go. His friend is with me, the guy that was at the house with me.
Mm-hmm.
And we pull up to his friend's house, and when we get there, the 10-year-old victim and the two children were at that residence. But I didn't know that
the kids that were actually there at the shooting were there with that house.
Yes, they were.
Wow.
And what happened was my co-defendant's best friend was dating the baby sister of the female victim in my case.
Oh, my God.
Right. So that was a terrible moment for us both. So the little girl, I know that she faked the illness, like her stomach was hurting or something, like when I was in the house. I was making an excuse to leave because I knew that we recognized each other in that moment.
Yeah.
And I left. Obviously, the police were called after I left, but that is what essentially put the warrant out for my arrest, because when the police detectives came, she was able to identify me and my co-defendant out of a picture lineup.
Right.
Right.
And that's how you ended up getting caught.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So you were in a lineup. So how did it get? Sorry, I missed the part where. So at some point you've been arrested and put into a lineup. Is that what happened?
Right. No. What they actually had was when the sister that was dating the best friend, she knew my name from being my co-defendant's girlfriend.
Right.
So she told the detectives who to look for.
Right.
And they had a picture of my driver's license. And that is essentially what she saw. That's the picture that they showed her.
Oh, your driver's license photo.
Yes.
Okay. And then she's pointed you out and said, "Yeah, that's the one."
Right. And they put out a warrant for my residence, but they essentially arrested me at my grandmother's house a couple of days later.
Right. Well, and how pregnant are you at this stage when this happens?
I was 4.5 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So they obviously take you to the police station for questioning.
Right.
I mean, how long did this sort of interrogation situation go for?
Maybe about 4.5 to 6 hours,
Yeah,
somewhere between there.
yeah. And had they already said they arrested you? I'm assuming they arrested you on the spot for the murder.
Well, they were questioning me about it. They were, they were doing the detective, the good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
They were like telling me that they understood, but I was in such distress. Like, that was such a scary ordeal.
Yeah.
During the interrogation, I was actually laying on the floor, in a ball because I guess maybe the babies were in distress or something.
Mm.
But it was horrendous. And my co-defendant was actually in another room, and they were telling me that if I told them what happened, they would allow us to talk because I told them that I was afraid of my co-defendant. I told them everything that happened, and I essentially just didn't even lie about anything other than I omitted the third person's involvement.
Right. So you literally took them through
I
the
thought I
entire,
had to do.
you would talk them through the entire situation. But yeah, you just left out one thing about an extra person being there.
Right.
Yeah. And what were they telling you that your
And that
co-defendant was
is
saying in the other room? Were they saying that he was, saying that you were involved, or did they try and, do that situation?
no, they were just essentially saying that if I agreed to testify against him, that they would make sure that nothing happened to my family, that my son would be safe, and that I wouldn't have to worry about any type of retaliation from any of his friends.
Right. And did you believe that?
At the time, I did. I had never had any encounters with the police before, so I thought, what you're raised to think that these guys are here to help.
Mm.
That if I just be honest, if I tell them how this all happened, that they can help me sort it out. And even if I am convicted of something, I would never think that I would have been convicted as a murderer.
Yeah. So you had a feeling that you were going to get in trouble for something, but you didn't think it would be anywhere near as bad as what it was.
Absolutely, because I understood that in the process of all this, that two people lost their lives, and that was not something that I disregarded.
Yeah.
I just did not know how to proceed because I felt like it was still a life or death situation when it came to my family as well.
Yeah. So, okay, so they've told you that you're going to be safe and all the rest of it, and they'll look after you and make sure your family's fine if you just, go against your co-defendant. So, did you then? So, I'm assuming then you took them up on that offer and you told them exactly what happened.
Yes.
So then what happens after you've given your statement as to what happened?
Well, they put me in the interrogation room with my co-defendant because they wanted me to try to see if I could get him to say anything, if I could get him to admit to his part, if I could get him to talk, period. But I was so afraid that I just sat there and I was silent. So they came and got me out of there maybe like 5 minutes after they essentially put me in there.
That seems like a weird thing to do, to put you in the room with a man you've already told them you're scared of, and they're trying to get you to go against, essentially. That seems weird that they would then put you in a room with him by yourself.
Right. And that's what I thought. But I knew then that they were tricking me, but I just thought that maybe if they seen that I wasn't capable of getting in front of him and saying, okay, this is what I admitted to, and this is what I said. Now you say what you did, because that wasn't like realistic.
No.
Because if I would have did that in a moment, he probably could have got on the phone and told his friends or whoever to execute what they had already been planning.
That seems like such a bizarre situation that the police would put you in.
Right. It definitely was.
So they took you out of the room. You've obviously not spoken to the detective. And so what do they say to you? Like you didn't get anything out of him, so you know we
And
charge.
they just took me to the county jail to be admitted. They didn't say anything. They was like, okay, well, you're gonna get arraigned in the morning, and you might have to sit next to him, but it'll be okay. You'll be shackled.
Oh, well, I'm sure that made you feel so much better.
Right. I felt so secure in
Yeah.
their promise.
Yeah. No, don't worry about it. You'll be sitting next to the bloke,
Yeah.
the bloke that we've asked you to go against, but he'll be in shackles, so you'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Right. Yeah.
So did you see him again? Were you sitting next to him during the arraignment?
We definitely were. We were sitting side by side during the process, and he told me that while we were in the holding cell waiting to go in front of the judge, he told me that the detectives told him that I told him everything, and he wanted to know were they telling the truth. But he wouldn't know if they were telling the truth until their paperwork came back, and it was in black and white, and he could read it for himself.
Mm.
So while we were in front of each other at the courthouse, I told him I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So from that time, we've had several different court dates together, but when it was getting time for me to actually accept the plea agreement, they separated our trial dates.
Right. What was the sorry,
it came.
Sorry, go.
No, I was telling you that it came to that point because when the family when my co-defendant's family and his friends started finding out that I was going to testify against him because it started coming out in the newspapers.
Mm.
The courtroom used to become rambunctious, and like my family that used to attend my court hearings, they became so afraid because they used to make threats in the courtroom, and that's when they essentially severed our court dates.
Yeah, right. Because it was getting dangerous, basically.
Right.
So, what was the plea deal that they offered you?
Well,
You have 1 minute remaining.
There's your friend.
There's my favorite lady. All right. Okay. Well, we'll wrap it up. But what do you like tomorrow afternoon? Are you free for another chat tomorrow afternoon?
I definitely am. Same time.
Fantastic. Same time, same place. I will meet you here.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Talk soon, Jessica.
Maybe it'll be less noisy.
Yes. Will you tell those ladies to calm down?
Thanks to Ian. This is what's happening.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Talk to you tomorrow.
Bye. Wow. Never ceases to amaze me. Never ceases to amaze me. Absolutely crazy. 2 people lost their lives over $1,000. 2 children, no parents, because of $1,000. Yeah, Panda, that was nuts indeed. That is one word for it. One word for it. Crazy. To think that this goes on in the world. Mind blowing. Anyway, that'll be in the podcast soon. You just got the completely unedited version of the story this morning. So, yes, I hope that didn't ruin your evening or morning listening to that insanity. The crazy thing is, she's like such a lovely person. She just got caught up with these people.